Welcome to Le Weekend, your essential roundup of French news on culture, business, the economy, and current affairs. We bring you a convenient way to catch up on the stories from the past week in France, plus an additional focus feature blending reportage and cultural context. The headlines on Monday, March 16th. Low turnout and far-right gains marked the first round of France's local elections. Polling booths have closed after the first round of France's municipal elections considered a litmus test for the presidential elections next year. Provisional results showed the socialist candidate was leading in Paris, while the far right looked strong in several southern cities, but pollsters said turnout was low, as reported by RFI. France began a landmark trial over Islamic State genocide of Yazidis. A French court on Monday began a landmark trial examining the Islamic State or IS group's campaign against the Yazidi religious minority in northern Iraq. It is the first time France has prosecuted a suspect for genocide linked to the attacks on the community in Iraq and Syria, as reported by RFI. Energy group Engie terminated the employment of French diplomat Fabrice Edin. Engie announced on Monday that it was parting ways with diplomat Edin, who exchanged dozens of emails over several years with the American sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The energy group had announced in February that it had suspended him, as reported by France 24. The headlines on Tuesday, March 17th. A flurry of new stars joined the Michelin Guide's gastronomic constellation. The world-famous guide unveiled its 2026 list of the best French restaurants at a ceremony on Monday evening, hailing 62 newly starred chefs. Les Morinières in Savoie was the only restaurant to win a third star this year, as reported by RFI. In the context of the war in the Middle East, and with French Rafale fighter jets also defending the skies of the United Arab Emirates, Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu convened several ministers and civilian and military officers at Matignon Palace on Tuesday to assess the capacity of manufacturers to fulfill orders. A key issue is munitions, specifically the Mica air-to-air missiles, as reported by France 24. Vinyl sales are driving the record industry upwards. This is one of the key findings of the annual report for the National Union of Phonographic Publishing, which presented its results on Wednesday to industry professionals. The physical record market, primarily CD and vinyl sales, is up for the second consecutive year with a turnover of 205 million euros, approximately 113 million for vinyl and 89 million for CDs and 3 million for DVDs. This is the best performance in 25 years. In an era where everything moves very fast, the public seems to value the magic of collecting, as reported by Le Parisien. The headlines on Wednesday, March 18th. President Macron unveiled France Libre as France's next aircraft carrier. President Macron announced on Wednesday that the next aircraft carrier will be named France Libre as the country seeks to reinforce its standing as a major maritime power, as reported by RFI. France ruled out a military role in the Strait of Hormuz. President Emmanuel Macron ruled out any immediate French military involvement in securing the strait, insisting that Paris will not take part in operations while active bombardments continue in the Middle East, as reported by RFI. French singer Patrick Bruel is facing a rape inquiry. The prosecutor said that the 66-year-old actor, singer, and former poker player is the latest in a string of French movie and music celebrities to face sexual assault claims. Bruel's lawyer, Christophe Ingrin, told Agence France-Presse that the singer maintains he never rejected a refusal, never forced anyone into a sexual act or relationship, as reported by Le Monde. A Belgian court is set to rule on a farmer's lawsuit against TotalEnergies, but will wait for a French court first. Hugues Fally has accused the oil giant of harming his business by contributing to climate change. The Belgian court decided it will only rule after a similar case against the company is concluded in France, with a decision expected in June, as reported by Le Monde. The headlines on Thursday, March 19th. Germany has set a mid-April deadline for the troubled fighter project with France. The German government has set a mid-April deadline for reaching an agreement with France on the crisis-hit FCAS fighter program, according to a government official on Thursday, as reported by Reuters. President Macron and India's Prime Minister Modi discussed the need for de-escalation in the Middle East. French President Emmanuel Macron and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi discussed on Thursday the need to reduce tensions in the Middle East, they said on their respective X accounts after Iran attacked energy infrastructure in the region following Israeli and US attacks, as reported by Reuters. French billionaire Vincent Bolloré is to stand trial on corruption charges regarding Guinea and Togo. Bolloré is said to face trial on corruption and embezzlement charges related to election campaigns in Togo and Guinea in 2009, 2010, and 2011, according to the spokesperson for the financial French prosecutor on Thursday, as reported by Reuters. The headlines on Friday, March 20th. French prosecutors flagged a possible manipulation of X stock prices by Musk to U.S. authorities. The prosecutors shared facts uncovered as part of a separate investigation into X with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and Department of Justice, as reported by Le Monde. France's budget constraints will hamper fiscal response to the Middle East crisis. Bank of France governor and European Central Bank policymaker François Villeroy de Galhau said on Friday that France has very little budgetary room to maneuver to respond to rising energy prices caused by the Middle East conflict, as reported by Reuters. An employee at the French nuclear fuel camp Orano's site in Normandy has died of meningitis, although the company said on Friday that there was no evidence the case could be linked to a deadly outbreak in Britain, as reported by Reuters. France has boarded a tanker it says is linked to Russian shadow fleet in the Mediterranean. The French Navy seized the oil tanker on Friday in the western Mediterranean that President Emmanuel Macron said belonged to Russia's shadow fleet, a network of vessels that enables Moscow to export oil despite Western sanctions, as reported by Reuters. French overtakes Arabic to become the world's fourth most spoken language. French now ranks ahead of Arabic as the fourth most widely spoken language in the world, according to a report published this week ahead of Friday's International Day of the French Language, as reported by RFI. You are listening to Le Weekend. And now that you're all caught up with the news from the past week, it's time for our bonus story. Today we look at why French mayors made the news this week. Something is happening across France this week that touches literally every corner of the country, from the tiniest hamlet in the Creuse to the Grand Boulevard of Paris. This week is the second round of the 2026 French municipal elections. Millions of people head to the polling stations to decide who runs their commune for the next 6 years. And if you're not French, or if you're French and just take it for granted, you might be thinking, okay, local elections. But the story of what a French commune is and what a French mayor actually does is one of the genuinely unique systems of local democracy anywhere in the world. Let's start with the numbers. France has approximately 35,000 communes. That's 35,000 separate elections happening simultaneously on the same 2 Sundays. For context, there's more communes than the entire United Kingdom has parishes, and more than Germany has municipalities, and roughly the same as all the other major Western European countries combined. And more than 900,000 candidates put their names forward this cycle. Nearly 1 million people running for local office in one country. Now, what makes France genuinely unlike almost anywhere else is that 85% of those 35,000 communes have fewer than 1,000 inhabitants. As political scientist Dr. Meyer of Sciences Po pointed out, we're talking villages of 200, 300, sometimes fewer than 100 people, each of which has its own elected council, its own budget, its own mayor, its own mairie or town hall, and its own section of the French Republic sitting right there on the main square. The number of municipal councillors scales with population, as few as 7 councillors for places with under 100 inhabitants and up to 69 for cities with 300,000 or more. So how does this machinery work? How do you actually elect a French mayor? Well, this is the part that surprises most people who assume it works like in the United States. You do not directly elect the mayor. Voters elect municipal councils, which then elect the mayor. What you elect is a list of candidates for the municipal council. These councillors are then elected using a proportional system with a majority bonus. The winning list gets a guaranteed share of seats to ensure governing stability. Once these councillors are seated, they elect the mayor from among themselves by secret ballot during the first meeting of the new council, which must take place between the Friday and Sunday following the election. The mayor needs an absolute majority in the first 2 rounds. If no one reaches that threshold, a third round is held requiring only a simple majority. And in the event of a tie, the oldest candidate wins, France setting democratic deadlocks with seniority. There are almost no barriers to entry. To be mayor, you must be over 18, a resident of the commune, or have a fiscal link to it, and hold French nationality. No degree is required, no professional experience required, no special qualifications of any kind. To sit on the council, you don't even need to be French. Any EU citizen, European Union, residing in the commune is eligible. And starting with this 2026 election, a major reform requires all candidate lists to strictly alternate between men and women. Gender parity applies now in every commune, even to tiny ones. The mandate lasts 6 years and there is no term limit. There is a fascinating footnote. 6 communes in France do not elect their mayor at all. They have one appointed by the prefect. These are the ghost villages obliterated during the Battle of Verdun in 1916, never rebuilt because the land remains saturated with unexploded ordnance. They still exist legally, they still have mayors, but no one lives there. Now let's get to what the mayor actually does. In most English-speaking countries, and particularly in the United States, a mayor is essentially a city manager with political flair. They run the municipal government, manage the budget, attend ribbon cuttings. It's an important job, but the French mayor is something fundamentally different. They hold a dual function. They are simultaneously an agent of the French state and the executive of their municipality. It's as if they had to wear two hats at once. As the head of the municipality, the mayor implements decisions of the council, manages local services, oversees municipal staff, prepares the budget, and legally represents the commune. That means school, local roads, public spaces, planning permission for your home extension. You go to the mairie for all of these. Waste management, cultural programs, local bylaws. The mayor is responsible. And in smaller communes, without much police presence, the mayor personally draws up official reports, procès-verbaux, for infractions. Everything from littering to illegal parking or violations of building codes. As a representative of the state, meanwhile, the French mayor is formally designated an officier d'état civil, a civil officer of the state, and an officier de police judiciaire, a judicial police officer. Under the authority of the prosecutor, they can be called upon to assist in inquiries into wanted persons, and in smaller communes, this is not merely ceremonial. And of course, this is really where France and America diverge completely. The French mayor marries you. Unlike the US, where it's fairly flexible, a judge can marry you, a religious ministry, or in many states, even a friend that gets ordained can marry you. In France, it doesn't work that way at all. Since the French civil registry was created in 1792, marriages have been performed before the local civil registrar, and in France that means the mayor or a designated deputy. Before 1792, it was the parish priest who kept records of baptism, marriages, and burials, going back to the Edict of Villers-Cotterêts in 1539. The revolution changed all of that. Marriage became a contract between citizens and the state, not a sacrament before God. And since the separation of church and state in 1905, you are only legally married in France if the ceremony is performed by the mayor or their authorized representative at the mairie, the town hall. A beautiful church wedding or a spiritual ceremony in the countryside, none of it counts legally without that prior civil ceremony at the town hall. The mayor declares the spouses united in marriage in the name of the law. They sign the marriage certificate, 2 witnesses confirm it, and the civil register is updated. From there, you have 3 days to register a birth and 24 hours to register a death. All of this goes on at the mairie, all of it handled by the same institution that fixes your road and issues your planning permissions. And the function is not optional. When France legalized same-sex marriage in 2013, several mayors announced they would refuse to officiate such ceremonies. France's highest constitutional court, the Conseil Constitutionnel, shut that down immediately. Mayors cannot refuse on grounds of personal, moral, or religious belief. They are officers of the civil state, and they perform that function for all citizens equally. When you're elected mayor in France, you don't just run a town, you become quite literally an arm of the republic. According to a 2025 survey, 69% of French people say they trust their mayor, compared to just 42% who trust members of parliament. Nearly 3 in 4 French citizens declare themselves satisfied with their municipality's action. And yet, since 2020, France has been losing more than 40 mayors per month to resignation. The reasons are structural: financial pressure from the central government, increasing regulatory complexity, and sense of being simultaneously responsible for everything and empowered to do very little. It is a highly stressful occupation, not just a political one. So that's the picture as France goes to the polls this week. Around 35,000 communes, from the smallest hamlet to the heart of Paris, are deciding who gets to wear the tricolour sash with the golden tassels for the next 6 years. These mayors will become the last visible face of the French Republic in streets where people actually live their lives, and the smallest, most human unit of democracy that France has been running in its nascent form since 1789. Thank you for listening to Le Weekend, your one-stop destination for the main headlines in France. Catch our weekly roundup every weekend wherever you get your podcasts. Stay informed.